This is your girl, Kimberly Harris. Welcome to the Bitter Greens podcast. If you're listening to the sound of my voice, you have made it to 2021. Round of applause. Round of applause. We made it to 2021. And I look forward, and I hope you look forward to the wonderful things and blessings that 2021 has for us and the work that we're going to put in order to achieve our goals. It's only right that this episode be called Resolutions. Typically around this time, we make resolutions, what we're going to do, what we're going to stop doing. And it usually is at the strike of January 1st. We're going to do these things. And I've never been a person that needed the new year to start something or stop something. I do course corrections throughout the year, but I understand that there's history around resolutions. And of course, my nerdy brain had to figure out, where did this start? According to the History Channel on their website, they broke down sort of the history of three areas: the Babylonians, Rome, and then Christians. And so the Babylonians actually had celebrated the new year in March. It didn't start in January. It was in March, and it was around their festival that they had when they were planting crops. It was a 12-day festival, and I think I'm saying this right, but it's called Ikitu, and they crowned a new king. Basically, this is also where they made promises, and they had pagan gods, but they made promises to pay their gods their debt or return items that they borrowed. This is where that resolution came in, because if they didn't pay it back or resolve their debts, then they wouldn't be in good favor with their God. So that was one area. And then the other area, and this, I always say this, we have to be very careful about not allowing ourselves to be to our fullest potential. So we have a man who decided, and his name was Julius Caesar, that he wanted the calendar year to start in January. He changed the calendar around 46 BC to start on January 1st. A man, he decided that he was going to change the calendar, and not everybody was cool with it at first. There was some resistance, but here we are. January 1st is the new year. January is named after Janus, Janus, the two-faced god whose spirit inhabited doorways and arches. So January had a special significance for Rome because they believed that Janus, symbolically looking backwards into the previous year and ahead into the future, the Romans offered sacrifices to their deities and made promises of good conduct for the coming year. So same thing, in the same vein, making these promises of what they're going to do moving forward. And then lastly, there is a Christian, a clergyman who actually started the night watch service that we know of. And his name was John Wesley, and that started around 1740. And the new year became the tradition about looking at your past mistakes and then what you were going to do in the future to resolve those. Depending on what denomination you are, you probably have attended or heard of a night watch service. And that is more religious, where we have scriptures and hymns that are sung, and usually it'll go into the night. You can bring it in early during the day. Some people go and party after that 6:00 service pre-COVID, or you can go to a later service and bring in the new year at the night watch service. The history around this has been rooted in some sort of religion. Depending on if you're pagan or Christian, you're making these resolutions to stay in good standing with God, or you're making the sacrifice, right, to stay in good standing with God. And so unfortunately, even though this is the case, research has also said that more of the resolutions are starting to become more secular, definitely around self-improvement and health. I think the top 6 were usually around money, health, career, family, love, self-improvement, were some of the ones that were in that top 6 category. So they were less about God and religion and more secular. But with that said, only 8% of Americans who said that they were going to implement a New Year's resolution actually achieved it at the end of the year. Roughly, I think they said about 74% of Americans, and that comes to about 188.9 million Americans, said that they were going to create a New Year's resolution for 2021. And that was a 15% increase for 2020. So folks, really really have been doing some reflecting in 2020 versus 2019 and really want to make some changes in those areas. Knowing the stats and knowing the history, are you going to make a resolution for 2021? Are you going to make resolutions for 2021? What are your plans? And just to give my 2 cents, I usually don't make resolutions, or if I make resolutions, they're actually my year goals. What I'll do is, and we talked about SMART goals in previous episodes, is that I look at, all of those areas: finances, spirituality or religion, health, mental and physical health, and also what I'm eating and those kinds of things, career. And then there's a couple of other categories that I have goals in, and then they're SMART. So they're specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-based. Making goals versus resolutions really gives you the opportunity to hold yourself accountable, look at your progress, and then make changes as you need to. And they're very specific, where resolutions tend to be very broad. I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to stop smoking. And those things can be resolutions. They can be your goals, but needing to put those measures in place so that you can hold yourself accountable. And then if you're the type of person that needs support from other people, join a group. Do it with someone else. If you've been following me, you know that I have a group of women who does challenges. We do it every month, and we have an accountability piece where we know specifically what we're going to be doing for that month. We know what we're going to do on that day. It's already prescribed based on the challenge, and then we check in at the end of the day. So you have the full day. That's the time to do this specific goal, which January we started lunges. So we had to do 30 lunges today. That's the measurable part. Did you do the measurement? Did you do the 30 lunges? Is it attainable for where you are? So for example, for this lunge challenge, we had 2 choices. You can do 30 lunges per leg, depending on your skill level, or you can break up the 30 and do 15 per leg. So you're not setting yourself up for failure. It's realistic. You can achieve it, and then it's realistic. And then the time. So we know we're going to do this amount on this day for this many days. And then at the end of the challenge, you get to be able to, or the end of your goal, you can say, what did I do well? What didn't I do well? How do I need to make adjustments moving forward? Or simply, did I reach the goal? And that's where you take a very broad, what could be a resolution, and make it into something meaningful and purposeful for you to achieve your goals. And to go one step further, for those of you who create vision boards, you would use these goals to identify the items that you would put on your vision board. So when you're writing it down and making it plain, now you have these visual pieces that are connected to your SMART goals. The other thing I started to do last year is to create a gratitude bucket. And sometime in this first week of January, I'll go and review those things that I was grateful for throughout the year, which will be a treat, given that 2020 was definitely a bear. But I created this gratitude jar. Every Sunday, I would slip a Post-it and I would close it tight. Didn't want to peak early, but I slip a Post-it of, one of the things that I was grateful for the week. And then if I had more than one thing that was notable, I would add it. So the first week of January, I'm going to definitely take the time and open up all of my Post-its to see what it is that I was grateful for. And I'm sure it'll brighten my spirit just a bit. The other thing I do is identify something that I need to let go of. Actually, I started this a couple of years ago, and now I am just building on it. First, it was cleaning out some of my social media posts, and that was very easy this year. It was riddled with RIPs for, some of the losses that have occurred in 2020. And then in addition to that, I cleaned out my text messages. I did not realize that clearly I'm a hoarder. I am a sentimental person. We'll say that. I wasn't keeping those text messages for sentimental value. However, I had text messages in my phone from like 3 years ago. You don't need it. Let it go. And then the final thing that I just need to do, but this will be a part of the letting it go exercise for me, is cleaning out my closet. I have very organized sections of my closet, and then there are other areas it's like I don't even know what's over there, what's in there, and so I'll have to give some of those things away. So those are just giving you some ideas that, one, instead of having this broad resolution, you have SMART goals, and then your SMART goals are linked to your vision board, so you have those visuals. And then if you want to add some other things to keep yourself organized or whatever it is, don't bite off more than you can chew. Do things that challenge you but are not going to leave you in a pickle at the end of the year feeling some kind of way because you didn't reach your goals. So there's a couple of questions that I want to leave you with, and they are: what's one thing that you want to be better better at in 2021? What is one bad habit you like to eliminate in 2021? And you can think about this as it relates to your finances, your mind, your body, your spirit. Is there a relationship that needs to be revived or strengthened? Are you in good health? What can you do to improve in your mental health, physical health, and the things that you put into your body? Some of our traditions or wonderful things that we grew up eating are not necessarily healthy for us. And it doesn't mean that you have to kick it, right? You don't have to throw it all away. But is there some things that you could cut back or add to your diet? Like, for example, I need to reduce my salt intake. I love Old Bay. I can eat crabs, multiple times during the week, but I know that consuming that salt 2 times or 3 times a week is not healthy for me. So now I'm trying to look at creative ways, like, for example, using dill with my crab legs instead of Old Bay. So now they're filled with fresh dill versus Old Bay. So what are some small adjustments that we can make in our diets, and then have those other things as treats and not necessarily what we do on a day-to-day basis? And then the other questions are, what can you add to your life that could add value? Do you have a relationship with what you consider your higher being? Do you have a relationship with God? And then I have to ask this. It wouldn't be the Bitter Greens podcast if I didn't ask this question. And it is, what bitter greens do you have to resolve? What is something that you have been bitter about, you have been holding on to, that has been getting in your way in any area of your life that you need to resolve? And if that is your only goal for the year, I think that would be a beast, because when you can get the bitter greens or those unresolved or that unresolved issue resolved and out of your life, it just makes way for the things that you were meant to do, your purpose, the things that you were meant to receive, whether it's love or just allowing you to increase the quality of life that you have. So I'm going to leave you with that. I wish you well. I wish you health. I wish you peace. I wish you blessings. I pray that your families are well. 2021 is your year. Make the magic happen. Thank you guys for joining me this week. If you like the podcast, please follow me on Spotify. You can also subscribe on iTunes. I am also on Instagram at bittergreens1. So if you like quotes and want to drop comments about the episodes, you can meet me there. I look forward to talking with you guys next week. Now go win the day. Don't let the day win you.